That was a doozy of a game, wasn't it? One of the weirdest, wackiest, insane games I have seen from the Green Bay Packers in a long, long time. Sees the Packers losing to that team, the Minnesota Vikings, 31 to 29, in a game where the Packers were sloppy as all heck. Turnovers abound, penalties abound, dug ourselves into a deep, deep hole, and yet still able to hang a lot of yards against one of the best defenses in the league and holding that dynamite offense to 3 points in the second half. But the comeback did fall short as the Green Bay Packers fell 31 to 29 to the Minnesota Vikings. So welcome back to the channel today, guys. It is a packed week of content here, but today I just want to get started with the review of the Packers Week 4 game against the Vikings, where they did beat us. I'm going to start off with the scoring summary, basically how all the points were scored, overall game trends, go into the box score, and then we'll go into my overall thoughts on how the Packers performed. But before we do that, remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it. So start off in the first quarter with a Jordan Addison 29-yard touchdown pass from Sam Darnold. Josh Oliver 2-yard touchdown pass from Sam Darnold for a quick 14-0 Minnesota lead. Jordan Addison had a 7-yard touchdown run, 21-0 Minnesota. Justin Jefferson a 14-yard pass from Sam Darnold, 28-0 Minnesota. Packers got on the board right before the half with the Jaden Reed 15-yard pass from Jordan Love for a 28-7 halftime score. Then the fourth quarter is where it got crazy. No scoring in the third. Dontavian Wicks had a 6-yard touchdown pass from Jordan Love, 28-14 Minnesota. Tucker Kraft had a 13-yard pass from Love, including a 2-point conversion to Kraft to make it a 28-22 Green Bay deficit. Will Riker hit a 33-yard field goal for Minnesota, going 31-22. Then under a minute left in the game, Dontavian Wicks had a 17-yard pass from Jordan Love to get within 2 points, but the Packers were never able to get the ball back after the onside kick. And also plenty of mistakes in that second half prevented them from really being able to take advantage of that. We'll get into that in a bit. Stats. Green Bay had 465 yards total offense compared to 374 for Minnesota. 4 turnovers for Green Bay, 3 for Minnesota. 24 first downs for the Packers and 22 for the Vikings. Time of possession was pretty close, so actually they were pretty evenly well matched. Definitely a tale of two halves where the Vikings slapped the Packers in the first half and the Packers kind of slapped back in the second half, but our slap was just not as good as Minnesota's. So you look at the box score here for the Packers. Jordan Love, 32 of 54, mainly due to that big deficit. 389 yards passing. 4 touchdowns, which is good. 3 picks, which is bad. Definitely played like Brett Favre, who he came out in his jersey this morning, and had 1 sack as well. Josh Jacobs did not get many carries on the ground, kind of went away from the run game early after the big deficit, but was efficient with 9 for 51 yards for 5.7 yards per pop. Wilson, 8 for 27. Love, 1 for 6. Reed, 1 for 2. Receiving, Jaden Reed was fantastic, going 7 for 139 yards and a touchdown. Dontavian Wicks, 5 for 78 and 2 touchdowns, but had a lot of drops, including a drop touchdown on another drive on 4th and 8. But we'll get into him a little bit later. Kraft, 6 for 53 and a touchdown, really taking over for Luke Musgrave there, but also had a fumble in the fourth quarter that really cost the Packers any chance to win. Dobbs, 4 for 39. Melton, 1 for 28. Josh Jacobs, 4 for 27, and now has the NFL record for most career receptions without having a receiving touchdown. So congratulations, Josh. Musgrave, 3 for 13. Heath, 2 for 12. Christian Watson only had 1 target, but he left in the first quarter due to an injury. We will see about his status here soon, and I'll let you guys know as soon as that is announced. Kraft had a fumble and lost in Melton. Had a fumble recovery. Edgar Cooper had a fumble recovery. Quay Walker, 8 total tackles, including a sack and a tackle for loss. Stokes got burnt a lot. 7 total tackles, 6 solo. Keyshawn Nixon, 7 total tackles, including a sack and a forced fumble tackle for loss. McDuffie had a pass deflection. Cooper had a tackle for loss. McKinney had a pass deflection. Bullard, tackle for loss. Wyatt, tackle for loss, but he left the game with an injury as well. That is concerning, as he's been really, really good for us here. Walker, Nixon, and Slayton had quarterback hits. McKinney had his 4th interception in 4 games. Dude has been a ball hawk for Green Bay. We'll talk about those later. Kicking. Yeah, Narvison 0 for 2 from field goals. If he just made one of them, the Packers would have won this game. Went 3 for 3 on extra points for 3 points. Whelan, really good punting. 3 for 180 yards. Average of 60 yards, including 2 inside of 20, along with 74, including causing a muff punt that the Packers recovered to get a touchdown. So Whelan has been an excellent, excellent punter for the Packers. And so, where do we even start here? Well, let's start with Jordan Love. It did not look good early, as in the first half, he really struggled, throwing 2 interceptions to the 1 touchdown. Granted, one of the interceptions went through 2 Packers receivers' hands, 2 different receivers through the hands and got picked off. But it definitely seemed like early on that he came back too early. But in the second half, he played a whole lot better. Had 3 touchdowns, had 1 interception, was completely his fault. Kind of airmailed like a pass trying to get it out of bounds off of a blitz, but ended up being picked off in the end zone because he could not get it out of bounds enough. But yeah, that second half was definitely a lot better from Jordan Love. Big Rizzo were able to get back in the game was because of him, but those 3 interceptions really hurt the team there, so very disappointed in that. But this was against the Minnesota Vikings defense, who shut down C.J. Stroud, shut down Brock Purdy in the previous 2 weeks. And Jordan Love, like they will say, like, oh, they were playing prevent. It was a 6-point game with 10 minutes left in the 4th quarter. The Vikings were still trying on defense, and Jordan Love shredded them in the second half. And as you see in the next 2 games the Packers have against the Rams and Cardinals, they're not great defenses. So I am very encouraged by the way Jordan played in his first game back from the MCL sprain. Played really good in that second half. But those turnovers need to be cleaned up. And I think he will. I really do think he will. The rushing attack was very disappointing for the Packers. A lot of that was because of the hole that the defense dug ourselves into in that first half, particularly that first quarter and a half of the game. And we'll talk about that defense in a bit. But like I said, I think Jacobs has been solid for us. Granted, Aaron Jones has been playing better for the Vikings, but I think Jacobs long-term would be better. Receiving, cannot rave enough about Jaden Reed. He has been absolutely fantastic for the Packers this year. Had another 100-yard game, had another touchdown, and overall was really dependable for the Packers. Dontavian Wicks is another person to talk about. His final stat line was good. Came together in that 4th quarter. 5 for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. But he had a lot of drops in the first 3 quarters, including on a 4th and 8. Jordan Love hit him in the chest in the end zone, and he failed to bring it in for the touchdown. And that was a big turning point in the game. If we got that touchdown, that would have been a lot different kind of outcome for the Packers there. But he was able to rebound and have his best game of the year so far, and Jordan Love kept throwing to him, kept trusting him. And I think that will bode well for his confidence in the future. So, yeah. Tucker Kraft clearly has emerged as tight end number 1. 6 for 53 yards and a touchdown, but he did have that fumble in the 4th quarter that really snuffed out any chance for the Packers really to make a comeback. As he was trying to fight for extra yardage, he should have just gone down or got out of bounds, but instead ended up fumbling, and the Vikings recovered. Again, already talked about Jacobs. Musgrave 3 for 13. Kind of wait and see for him. He might take a little bit longer to develop. And now let us talk about this defense because, oh boy, in that first half, this defense was getting absolutely shredded. There's a reason why the Vikings were able to build up a 28-0 lead. Part of it was because of the turnovers by the Packers offense. Did not give the defense a lot of time to settle in, but the defense in general, missing Jair Alexander and Corey Carrington Valentine, the 2 best corners, it was obvious that we were missing our 2 best corners as Keyshawn Nixon and Corey Ballantyne could not keep up with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, especially in that first half. Not really able to do anything. So, yeah, there is that to talk about too. But I will say, in the second half, the Packers pretty much shut down the Vikings defense, except for the one drive where they went and got a field goal. But even then, they were able to hold them for 3 points in that second half. The pressure got better in the second half. We had the 2 sacks with Walker and Nixon, and in general, there was just more pressure on Sam Darnold, which led to a couple of mistakes, including the interception to McKinney, which has been good, and the forced fumble by Keyshawn Nixon on a blitz that was able to lead to a Packers touchdown. And so, even though the Packers mightily struggled in that first half, the adjustments made by this defense was awesome. Because last year under Joe Barry, there would have been no adjustments at all. And credit to Jeff Hafley, after getting his mouth punched in that first half, came out with a better game plan in that second half and was able to keep the offense in the game while they kind of figured their crap together. And I think that is a very good sign in the future. I think next week, with Jair most likely coming back and Valentine coming back, we'll not have this problem against the LA Rams. So there's that there. And then Braden Narveson. Why, oh why, can we not have a kicker? We can't have a kicker. Ever since Mason Crosby started going downhill, no kicker. I mean, Crosby sucked his last year. Carlson sucked last year. Narveson has sucked so far this year. And it sucks even more because Greg Joseph made 5 field goals on Thursday Night Football for the Giants. He could have been ours. But that was like a thing. Like, even though Narveson missed those 2 kicks, this loss wasn't all on him. It was on that defense in the first half. It was on the offense being sloppy. And it was on the kicking. Even though on kick returns and punt returns, the defense has done pretty, especially has done good at, and Daniel Whelan has been a fantastic punter. It's just the actual kicking position has been the problem. So, overall, it is a disappointing loss. Currently, we're sitting at last in the division. Oh, currently, they're having us above Chicago, but yeah, I don't know. But if you look at our next 2 games, these are 2 games where the Packers can use to get themselves right. We have the LA Rams coming. We're going out LA. They have not looked good outside of their comeback against San Francisco. They lost to the Bears offense. And then we have the Arizona Cardinals, who, after blowing out the Rams, have looked terrible against the Commanders, and I don't remember who else they played. But they've looked bad since then. Then we have the Texans, which will be a hard game. But then we have the Jaguars before we go to the Lions, Bears, 49ers. So we got a couple games here to get things right. And I think, especially as these 2 defenses are not that good, we'll get a lot better to running the football in these next 2 weeks. And Jordan Love will just continue to get healthy, continue to get back in rhythm. And if this is his worst game of the year, having 389 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks, I think we can look forward to a really good end to the year. So that's just my thoughts here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I think if you told me, I honestly predicted we might go 2-2 to begin the year anyway. If you told me Jordan Love would miss 2 games, I thought we'd gone 0-4. So 2-2, we're at a good spot. And I think the next 2 weeks will be very much get right weeks for the Packers. But we just need to clean up the turnovers, clean up the penalties, and figure out how to kick a dang field goal. But that's all for right now. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And I'll see you again next time. Peace.